through the 20 to 25% increases over the next 4 to 5 years.
If I'm, let's say I'm owner occupied, 2-family. I'm in a double. I'm owner occupied and I'm pre-firm. I'm going to continue to get my subsidy. However, when that ultimate change takes place and they remap my property, then I'm going to go to whatever that full flood risk is, which will be the current zone based on an elevation.
And you said owner occupied. What if it was non-owner?
If it was non-owner occupied, it's still getting the pre-firm rate until it gets to the point where it goes to full flood risk, and that's going to be after a map change in August 24th.
All these parishes already have some government paying now.
Should. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I understand specifically. If I've got a 2 to 4 family in Orleans Parish, okay, and right now it's pre-firm, it was built in the 30s, okay, I'm going to continue to get my renewal with that subsidy after October 1. Then when I go to my August renewal, then they're going to look at what zone I'm in and where am I in reference to base flood. Again, everything I'm saying, and I want to make sure I say this again, is what I know today.
So what is mandatory flood insurance on what?
Mandatory flood insurance meaning there's a mandatory purchase guidelines that all lenders are ruled under, that if you're in a special flood hazard area, you must provide, and there's any indirect or direct federal lending, you must provide flood insurance on that loan.
So we're going to have C zones still?
Well, C zones are individual banks' decisions, not...
Oh, so
there'll still be C zones, B zones, X zones, and that. However, the mandatory purchase guidelines by the feds only follow special flood hazard areas.
So
however, if I'm like my home's Fidelity Homestead, they require me to have it. It doesn't matter what zone I'm in. So when you go beyond the mandatory, that's a specific lender call. Okay. That if I'm looking at that and I don't want to have to carry it because I'm on Highway 21 in Covington and north of 12.
Right.
Then I'm not going to do business with Fidelity Homestead. I'm going to get you with me, put me with Chase or Quicken Loans or somebody else. That's going to be more of a broader scope of risk that they can pool together and handle that more.
But if you don't have a loan and you can self-insure?
If you don't have a loan, you're on your own. You can insure or not. That's exactly like the agent. I mean, that's your other.
Try to sell your house at some point.
Yeah. Biggest problem is you just, your resale's not there. You know, my agent that we're talking about, he said, I'm going to pay my loan off probably so I don't have to carry it. You know, I feel comfortable with my risk. But if he ever tries to sell his house, I mean, his value went. His value went down. I don't know what. He did make the statement. He said, I'd like to know what my assessor's going to do on my next assessment, on my market value. Because I'm going to get some of that money back on my assessment in tax. It ain't at the same level, but that, yeah.
So,
hold on.
with the reinforced levee systems in New Orleans, is that going to affect their
all of that, what I see in Orleans Parish, okay, the bulk of Orleans Parish on the east bank of it is seeing a reduction in their rates based on the price. See, what happened is 84 your probability was here, okay? And then they came in with those initial maps that came out within about 2 years, and that probability shot through the roof. And then you had pushback against FEMA and said, wait a minute, we got all these dollars coming into these parishes for mitigation. So let us get the mitigation projects in before you move to that new map. So FEMA agreed to do that. Those projects, for the most part, if you know what they are, and we can talk about St. Bernard Parish walls, we can talk about raising the levees around Orleans Jefferson, we can talk about pumping stations being moved to the outer canals, the Mr. Go project, all those things for the Causeway Bridge, which I face every day. It's finished now. I mean, well, except for a little bit of the access ramp. But the wall's up now, and it goes over it. All that stuff pretty much finished last summer. That's why now these maps are coming out. So those maps said, here was your probability in '84. This is what it was immediately after Katrina, because your levee systems and other things didn't even hold to the '84 level. Now that you've done your mitigation, for the most part, in general, for all 5 of those parishes, their probability overall has come down.
And that's East New Orleans as well, like East
East New Orleans has some pockets that are real bad because they still got some issues with levee systems now.
Yeah. I think they're
Lakeview's in pretty good shape overall.
All of those levees have actually hurt St. Tammany's, so you expect rates to go up.
That's conjecture, and every model that I've seen that the Corps puts says it's literally not factual.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, again, I'm telling you, they're high. I mean, if you saw the engineering data that went into those things, you'd be impressed at what they put into it. So it's the latest and greatest in engineering data. Is it fallible? Possibly. I mean, you know, but basically, you know, hey, that's the same thing the Mississippi people are saying. Y'all put all this stuff around New Orleans and all that. Now we in Bay St. Louis and the Mississippi Gulf Coast are going to get it worse than that. Look, the last storm that came through here, if that storm would have came through here before those levee systems and all that stuff was redone, it would have gave you as much damage or more because of the way it came in and how long it sat out there. All I got to do is point back to Juan, which was less than what Isaac was, and it did more damage than Isaac did. So I mean, I can only look at historics and look at models, but I'm not an engineer. But that's what the Corps has ensured, that before they design that, and their models play it out. I've seen the models, but again, I'm relying on someone else who's got a greater knowledge of that than me too.
So to confirm for realtors, as of October 1st, there'll be no more assuming flood policies, so the owners will have to get their elevations.
Is that October 1st that passed?
No, coming up.
This October, yeah.
Since a lot of this is based on the lost history, is there an easy way to get a lost history report on
Since a lot of what is based on that?
repetitive losses?
That's only one little small class of properties that lost history comes into play.
Okay, is there an easy way to get a lost history if the homeowner doesn't provide it?
If the homeowner doesn't provide it, the only way, some parishes and some communities, they have that lost history. But there's privacy laws that really bar them from sharing. And there are some of them that will step out. The only one, I've only seen one, it's Jefferson Parish, that steps out and says, give me a signed contract from a buyer to a seller, then I'll provide it to the buyer. Without that, I'm only going to provide it to the owner.
So then FIP would give you a printout.
They will, MFIP will give the printout to the owner of the property. Okay. So each parish, each community is charged with that information and how they release it or not. So to answer in general, I can't. If the community says I'll only give it to the owner, then it's only to the owner. Okay. Let me get somebody else in here. Yeah.
Our insurance agent spoke with his flood person.
She was.
Apparently she was incorrect. She said that there were amendments, current amendments to fight this. You know.
I will tell you, everything I've seen going into committee has just about been killed. The only two things I saw, there's only one thing I saw that was definitely went through committee and is going to the House floor.